Hey guys, it's Daddy Prepper here. So today I'm gonna be doing a little bit of a different type of video. I'm gonna be doing a story time video. Um, a few things before we get the ball rolling. As you can probably tell, I am still a little bit sick, so I do have my glass of water next to me. I might be taking some sips out of that during this if my throat gets too dry. Other than that, a little bit of backstory. This happened about 6 years ago. I was young child, but yeah, let's get right into it. So about 6 years ago, like I said, about 6 years ago, it was 5 or 6 years ago, I had just crossed the bridge, the Weeblo Bridge, into being Boy Scouts. So now I was Boy Scout. I graduated from Cub Scouts, and if any of you are in or have been in Boy Scouts, over the summer, we usually go to camp, week-long camp. For the most part, it's Camp Nash, for Kansas at least. I don't know about the rest of the states, but we go to Camp Nash, and this was my first time at Camp Nash as a Boy Scout. And as a Boy Scout in Camp Nash, you stay there for a week on end, just doing everything there during the week. You go to your classes, 4 classes a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, all across camp. You have breakfast, lunch, dinner. And the rest of the day, you have free time. You can go to the rifle range, archery range, shotgun range, climbing tower, all sorts of different things. But, yeah, so this takes place. We had just gotten to camp, right? We unpacked all our stuff, and I was good friends with 2 people at the time. Let's call one Josh, and let's call the other Caleb. So I was good friends with these 2 kids, Josh and Caleb. And we decided we were all gonna bunk together in 2 tents. There's only 2 bunks in a tent, and so that was gonna be the plan. We'd all bunk in 2 tents, and we'd do everything together. So we decided each of us would get up 5 in the morning, and we'd go down to the shower house, and we'd take a 45-minute shower, get back to camp, get dressed, and then get down to the chow hall for breakfast at 6:30. So So it's a second day camp, and Caleb, he gets the flu, and so he has to leave. Now Caleb was bunked with me, and Josh was fine sleeping alone, so he was in his own tent. But Caleb was sleeping with me, and I was fine with sleeping alone too. So now on Tuesday, which was the second day, we go there on Monday, we come back Sunday. So it was just me in this tent now. I had all my gear. I decided to flip his cot on its side, put all my gear where it was. Fast forward 2 days, right? And I get home, or not get home, but I get back from all my classes one day at, whatever time it was. I think it was like, I couldn't tell you. I think it was 3 or 4 p.m., whatever time it was. It was in the afternoon. And I'd just gotten back from my classes. And I'd gone into my tent, and I got on my phone, and I look up in the corner, and I saw something that legitimately scared the crap out of me. I saw what I thought was a brown recluse sitting in the corner of my tent, and I freaked out because it was right above my head. If any of you have ever been to Nash, Camp Nash, I'll put a picture of the tents on the screen now if I remember to in editing. But if any of you have ever been to Camp Nash, you know what the tents look like, and it was in the corner of it, down where the wall meets the roof. It was right above my head, so I freaked the fuck out, as one would if they spotted a brown recluse above them while they sleep. And I jump up and I run out of my tent screaming, and I come over to my leader, and I'm like, Andy. I'm basically crying. I mean, my head, I'm just running out there. I'm dazed and everything. I go out there, and Andy's out there, and I can't remember what he's doing. I think he was working on carving like a totem pole or something. But I go out there, and I'm, Andy, you gotta help me. And he's like, what's wrong? So we go back, so we go into my tent, and he looks at it for a second, and he goes, yeah, that's a black widow. And my heart stopped. And he goes, but in this part of Kansas, there's a lot of mock black widows that imitate a black widow, but are actually harmless. So we're gonna have to go down to the health lodge. We're gonna quarantine your tent for now, get everything out of it right now. We'll call someone from the health lodge to come up and take a look at it and determine if it's a threat or not. If it is, well, I don't know. We'll probably have to burn your tent down. I mean, looking back, he was definitely being sarcastic, but at the time, I was thinking, fuck yeah, we get to burn this bitch down. But, yeah, so that's what I thought. I was like, hell yeah, we get to burn this down. So I move all my stuff out, and I go grab, and I go ahead and I take all my stuff in, and I bunk with Josh instead, and I'm talking to him, and we try and get a peek in my tent, and so we go in there and we check with the flashlight, and we see this black widow crawl under the little bar at the top that holds the fabric down up to a nest of spider eggs, and so we run out, Andy, there's a nest, and he goes, what? And so he called the health inspector, or not the health inspector, the health guy, and then the nature guy up there, super fast, and he's like, hey, you got to get up here right now. I mean, this is urgent. So they come up there and they take it back, and they come back about half an hour later, and they go, that is a real black widow. We're gonna have to quarantine this tent and the 3 around it just in case, So that happens. And normally this is where the story would end, but that's not where the story ended. So we got done with this, and every time, so I moved in with Josh. Josh was just across the little clearing in the middle from that. So every time I got up in the morning, I'd go outside and I'd look at my tent, and that just gave me chills down my spine, because they had to tape it off and everything. It honestly looked pretty freaky, but yeah, they bug bombed it and everything. I wasn't allowed to go back in it at all. But one day I was coming home from my final class of the day, and I was on my way home, not home. Why do I keep saying home? I was on my way back to camp after the last class of the day, and I get back to camp, and the Black Widow is sitting outside, like attached onto the side of the canvas side of Josh and I's tent. Now Josh's last class was way far away from where I came from. I came from shooting, which wasn't too far based on our campground, and Josh came from climbing, which was all the way on the other side of camp. Yeah, so he hadn't come back yet, and our leaders were off doing something. I think they were at the chow hall, but I didn't know. So I was sitting here, and I was freaking the fuck out. I mean, here's this Black Widow, and the health inspector lodge guy, he tells me that the other day when he was there, he told me that just look at the underside of him if you can. If it's got an hourglass on it, it's a fake one. If it doesn't, it's a real one. I think that's what he said. He might have said it the other way around. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But I just can't. And so I remember that. So I'm creeping my head up under it, and the motherfucker jumps onto my face. It jumped onto my face. And I brought my hand up and smacked my face so fucking fast, I left an imprint of my hand on my face. I don't know how I didn't break my nose. Probably because he landed on my forehead, so my forehead. But yeah, I mean, I smacked him, and then I wiped, and then I just, smacked my forehead again, but at an angle so he'd fly off of it. He eventually flew off my forehead, and I don't know how the hell he didn't just pop like a goddamn cherry. He was still alive. He kind of crip walked away, if I'm being honest. I mean, he hobbled away with a few broken legs, but it just scared the actual shit out of me. And as much as I'd like to say that that's the end, that was the end of Black Widow. But rest of the camping trip was just as eventful. So this was on Thursday, right? So I get done with this, and I don't tell anyone. I just check our tent inside and out, under the floorboards, everything for another nest, another spider, whatever. And there is none. Well, Thursday finishes, Friday starts and it finishes, and Saturday starts, it finishes, and then on Sunday, Saturday starts, and then we're supposed to leave Sunday morning. So all during Saturday, we're doing our celebrations, congratulations. We're getting all of our awards for doing classes and everything like that. Families are allowed to come and everything. Nice big dinner, better than all of us have had all week. I'm not kidding. Chili was so good it gave me the shits for like 3 days. But so at the end of the day, right? Josh and I come back to our tent, and there's this kid who was really, really good at poker. And I don't know how, but he was really good at poker. So he always brought just a set of poker chips and cards. And so we decided that for the last day we were just gonna pull an all-nighter, and all night we just sit there in our tent and have a party, a quiet party, because we didn't want to wake anyone up. But we'd play poker, we'd bet, we'd eat, we'd everything. So we spent like $40 at the snack bar that day, buying all sorts of food and stuff for the quote unquote party that happened that night. And so it comes the hour, 10 p.m. You hear Bugle Boy. He starts playing taps, telling us all to go to bed. We all come into our tent, put on a lantern. We start playing cards. An hour goes by, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5. It's about midnight right now. And Josh, who was in the tent, his favorite food ever was Maltesers. And so we bought a shit ton of Maltesers for this, because, he was kind of the fat kid. So we had a shit ton of Maltesers. So there was a box of Maltesers on the ground, right? And all the light and how hot it was and everything, it attracted a pretty fair amount of bugs into our tent over the course of the night. So he picks up the box of Maltesers, and a pregnant spider falls out with a corpse of another spider, and he didn't realize it at first. So he picks it up, and they fall out. But I see it and I think about saying something, but I don't. And sorry if you heard that click. That was my chair. And he picks it up, and he presses on the box to get it to open up a little bit more, and he looks inside, and his face just goes pale white. And I'm talking, this man looked like a ghost. And his eyes got all big, his mouth dropped open. He throws it across the tent, and it hits the guy who plays poker a lot in the face. And it hits him, and it falls onto the table that we were using, which was a trunk, one of our trunks. And the dude goes, "What the fuck? What was that for?" And right then, all these little tiny baby spiders start flooding out of this box of Maltesers, crawling everywhere. I mean, we all